Hello friends, up till now in Unit 3 we have discussed as to what basically a commercial correspondence is. We have discussed the 4 C's and we discussed them in quite detail. Then we moved over to use of emails, and I told you that emails are nowadays more important than physical letters, normal hard copies. Why? Because generally companies correspond using emails. Right? Even if you want to lodge a complaint to a company regarding a defective product, you generally use email and they would also respond on email. So you have to be equipped with good understanding of using an email, right? Then yesterday we also talked about, in the last session, we also talked about printed stationery in case you are sending out the physical copies of the letter and why you need them. And we talked about not only the letterheads but the continuation sheets as well as the envelopes. But now, today what we have to discuss is the format of a letter, and the discussion would take off from where we left it yesterday. I hope you remember that these were the different parts of the letter, right? And yesterday, if you remember, towards the end of the session I had told you that the format, there are so many different formats of the letter. You have to adopt one of them. So it may so happen the format that I am discussing with you, the format which you see here, it may not be the same as is given in the book which you are referring. But that is not a problem, because there are different formats and you can use any one of them. Fine. So let us discuss the different formats today, or the different layouts today. And please understand that there are different formats, and these are the names of the different formats. So you've got a full block form, you've got a modified block form, indented form. Indent means there is some space from the left margin. Indent means this. So those of you who are using MS Word for preparing your assignments and preparing your reports, you would know it better. Indent basically means space from the left extreme. So you will write from left to right. Generally, when you are writing something, you move from left to right, unless you are writing in Urdu. So the indent means, are you leaving out some space from left? Whenever you switch to a new paragraph, you generally leave some space from the left margin. So that is an example of indent. So then, based on that, we have this indented form. Then we have got semi-indented form or semi-block form. We have got hanging indentation form, and we have got NOMA, which is National Office Management Association of America. So these are different forms. We do not need to know about each of these forms. All you need to know is you should know at least one, and it would be preferable if it is the most commonly used one, and you should follow it without any errors, right? So what I have done is I have not discussed all of them. I will be discussing only one of them. And which one will I be discussing? I will be discussing the full block form, right? Okay. Now why am I doing this full block form? Because number one, it is the most modern style, and secondly, there are least chances of error because it is relatively very simple to understand and to retain, and that is why I have included this particular form, right? Now please understand that full block form, these are the various elements of a full block form, various characteristics. It is the most modern style. There is no indentation from the left margin, which means you don't have to leave any space from the left margin, right? We'll discuss an example and you will be able to understand this better. There's no punctuation at the end of the line in the address. I hope you remember that when you are writing a letter, at the top you have to mention the name of the receiver as well as his address. But when you are doing that, you don't have to put a comma at the end. In between the words, you can do that. You can put in commas, but not at the end of the line, right? Again, there is no comma after the salutation. Dear sir, dear ma'am, there is no comma. And complimentary close. Yours faithfully would not be followed by a comma. And whenever you are switching paragraphs, moving from one paragraph to another, you have to leave space, double line space between paragraphs, right? That you can do if you are using MS Word. There you can give this command to the software to automatically include double line space whenever there is a change of paragraph. Fine. Now what we are going to do is, I'll give you a live example of a letter written in full block form, and then we'll look at how it is different from other forms. What are the things that you have to take into consideration while you are using this particular form. Now this is a letter. I think you might be finding it a little difficult to actually read out everything, but what you can do is you can pause the video, again maximize the screen, read the letter first, right? So though I'm moving forward straight away, but you need to pause the video here, read the letter first, and then only you'll be able to grasp the forthcoming discussion better. So I'm starting off. Now please understand, sorry, I have told you that full block form there is no indentation from the left margin. Now this is the left margin. I'm drawing the left margin for you. This is the left margin, this line. And do you think that there is a gap anywhere from left margin whenever you are writing a new line or whenever you are switching the paragraphs? There is absolutely no gap from the left margin. So this is what I meant by no indentation from the left margin, right? Now these are some of the things that you have to take care, because if you start using indentation, this would no longer remain a full block form. Fine. So if you are using the full block form, and I would advise you to use this particular form because this is the easiest to understand and to retain. So no indentation from the left margin. Now have a look at the third point. No punctuation at the end of line in the address. Now where is the address line? Have a look. This is the address, the designation of the receiver and the address. Do you see any comma at the end of the line? No commas at the end of the line, but you can have comma in between the words, not after Karnataka, not after limited, not after relations, or not after manager, but yes, in between it is allowed. Is that okay? So you should not be putting any commas here. Now let's have a look at the fourth point. Salutation, dear sir, would not be followed by a comma. You don't see a comma here. You don't see a comma after the complementary clause here. So you should not be putting a comma if you are using this particular form, right? And whenever you are moving from one paragraph to the other, ensure that there is double line space. The space is equivalent to 2 lines. It's not just equivalent to 1 line. So this is equivalent to 2 lines. The space between the 2 paragraphs is equal to 2 lines. So this is what we call the double line space between paragraphs and different parts. Again, here also the gap is equivalent to 2 lines. So between different parts also. So the gap here, have a look, the gap here. So let me use a slightly different color to make you understand this better. Now have a look at this gap here. Have a look at this gap here. Between different parts, have a look at this gap here. Again, gap here. Then this is the gap here, the gap here. Then again, and now have a look at this gap here, and have a look at this gap here. So these gaps, all of these gaps, they are equal to 2 lines. So double line space, what we call. So whenever you are moving from one particular part to the other part, you have to use double line spacing. Is that okay? So this is the full block form. Let me go back a little to just let you know, as to just remind you that there are other forms also, and you are absolutely at your own discretion. You can use any other form also, but my advice is, since this form is the easiest, you should go for this particular form, right? So thank you very much for your time. In the forthcoming sessions, we'll be actually discussing some letters and how to write those letters depending on different requirements.